Thank you very much, Catherine, and just for inviting me here today. Hopefully I will give you some insight into some of the issues, quite a lot of the issues we all know. So I'm probably preaching to the converted in relation to the recruitment and retention strategies. So the external environment, what do we know at the moment, particularly in our field of where we're looking for people? Shortage of qualified staff. Everybody's feeling the pinch, everybody is having the same issues, and it's not just about us, it's about across the board. Everybody will say finding good staff has never been harder. Those people who are out there are looking for what they call a professional career. There's a very strong push over the last few years for parents to say to their kids, go to university, get a degree. We have experienced that, and that's where we're looking, and that some people look at disability as not being a professional career. It is a professional career. We need to promote that it is a professional career and that you need qualifications to do the job, probably more so now than ever before. The requirements, the government requirements, the legislative requirements mean that you need to actually know what you're doing, and it's not just a case of being put in a job and told to look after somebody. You need to know how to go about looking after that person in the best way possible. There is a gender imbalance. Not sure about your organisations, but for us we employ around 80% female staff. So attracting males to the industry is really difficult, and particularly in an HR world, we'd very much like men to join our environment, and we find that also really difficult. So getting that gender balance is really important. So having a male member of staff, particularly in HR, is a luxury, and we like that. High labour turnover. Most of us would be experiencing some high turnover in relation to you continually recruiting, or you just think you've got it right and somebody resigns. Recruitment is an ongoing process. Some people will say to you that they've got a low turnover and they give you statistics, and sometimes I'd like to see how they come up with those, because I don't believe them often, but that's what they tell us. And also the fact that the perception that the salaries are inadequate in relation to what we pay people is inadequate for what they do. And it's about what is that perception. Is it a reasonable salary? Is it not a reasonable salary? When we take packaging into account and you look at the overall total equivalent package value, how does that compare to the marketplace? What does somebody else outside of our industry need to do to earn that kind of money? And what are they expected to do? So looking at those sorts of things, do we actually have an imbalance, or do we pay people reasonably well based on the skills that they're doing? So I think most of us would agree that the external environment isn't probably as rosy as it used to be. Somebody said to me the other day, what we need is a damn good recession. I think we'll all be happy with that. Personally, I've got a mortgage, I don't want a recession, and neither do all of us want a recession. But if we look back to the early 90s when I left university, we did have some tough times, and I don't think any of us want to go back to that, but we certainly had high unemployment, and there was no shortage of people out there, but we don't want to return to that. So let's look at why are people leaving. What are the reasons that people say that they leave? So what do they actually tell us? They say it's rarely about money. That's generally the case, that it will rarely be about money. There is an old saying that money doesn't keep people, but it does make them leave. So if they are going to leave you, don't give them more money, because it's not going to fix it. Within 6 months, they're going to go anyway. So wish them well, allow them to leave in a dignified manner, because one day they may want to come back to you. The fit between family and work, and the lack of flexibility. Given the fact that we employ women who are primarily the primary carers, either of children or elderly family members, they will say, the reason I'm leaving is because I need something more flexible. So looking at how we work that is different. Some of us have great tunnel vision of, I need somebody to work from here to here, and that's all I'm going to consider. When sometimes you say, does that person really have to start at 8 o'clock in the morning? And if they started at 10 and finished at 6, would I still get the same outcome? But that's going to mean they're going to give me greater flexibility because they've had an option to work. Part-time is something that we've heard about. People do it. In reality, some positions can't work like that. But if you're asking, somebody says, I'd rather work 4 days, and it's a 5-day position, what needs to shift in order to make that happen? Their supervisor. So at the end of the day, the relationship that you have with your supervisor will be one of the key reasons that you leave. I'm happy to put up my hand and say I've left because of a supervisor before now. And that wasn't because I didn't like the organisation, but because of the interaction on a day-to-day basis I had with that person. I spend more time with that person than the person I love in my life, and it wasn't working. It's like a marriage. If you think about it, if you've ever been in a bad marriage, going to work is a marriage. You need to have that marriage right. If it's not right, it affects you in a number of different ways, and you need to leave. The other reason people give is there's no visible career path. So I didn't think that there was a career path for me. And often I hear managers say, but I had them pegged for X, Y and Z and now they've left. Did you tell them that? No. Why should I have told them that? Because it probably would have been a really good idea. They were looking for more career development, and you actually haven't communicated anything to them about where you see their future. But also, did you ask them where they saw their future? No. Why do I need to ask them that? Well, if you don't ask them, how do you know? So now you've lost that person and you're stuck because your succession plan just went straight out the door.